Well, hello and a very warm welcome to this week's edition of Off the Leash, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with Premier Greyhound Racing, your weekly Greyhound preview show. And the big race action keeps on coming. As ever, we're in top class company, open class companies, the open race correspondent of the Racing Post, Tony Bullen. Tony, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. It's getting a little bit colder, but hopefully we can stay warm and keep finding these winners in these great competitions.
It is getting a little bit cold. That's why I've reached for the turtleneck this week. I have to start putting the heating on and all of that. But the action red hot on the track. We had a week off, Tony. We left with the Oaks final. Drew Tago, a brilliant winner.
Yeah, absolutely sensational. I mean, she was superb at Yarmouth, foot perfect, and she was flawless in the Oaks. I mean, to break the 28-second barrier each time at Perry Bar is sensational. It takes special dogs or bitches to do that, and she's certainly special. She stepped up to a true four bends.
Yeah, brilliant winner. And of course, all the action live on the Premier Greyhound Racing service, behind the red button on Sky Sports Racing or on the online stream, all the bookmakers streaming services as well. Now, this week, we are going to look at the Premier Greyhound Racing Classic, the big race up at Sunderland, 450 metres, £20,000 up for grabs. We had 6 first-round heats last week. The semi-finals, 3 of them, will be on Friday night. And we've also got the J&K Coach Tours Gold Collar kicking off on Sunday night at Crayford. We've got the Premier Greyhound Racing Eclipse, the big competition at Nottingham, kicking off on Monday night as well. We'll tackle both of those events as well as the ongoing Classic in next week's show. But for episode 37 this week, we're just going to focus on the Classic, and we'll start with last week's first round heats. Now, heat number 1, Stone Park Hoffer for Sava Roberts. An expensive purchase out of Vineland, very well regarded. Bags of pace. Well, wins off the front in the first heat, 26.74. The Romford Puppy Cup winner, Fire and Ice, was second in Trap 3. Raisbury Katie caught the eye in defeat in Trap 1, staying on gamely. 2-3-1, the finishing order here, but very impressive off the front, the winner, Tony.
Yeah, he was a win machine in Ireland. Had a good Irish card, Dave, and the qualifying trials were very impressive. But he put that into practice under race conditions and needed this fast start because we know how good Fire and Ice is and would be looking to edge across. But Stone Park Hoffer showed ferocious early pace, got to the front, and I didn't think he was coming back to the field either. Like, he was probably expecting him to, well, you can't burn the candle at all ends, but I thought it was a very impressive debut.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I watched 1 or 2 of his trials, and he definitely left some time on the track in his trials as well, missing the bends a couple of times. So he's got bags and bags of pace. He's going to love the long run to the turn that Sunderland offers up, and he's going to be a big player in this event. It's a very impressive UK debut from Stone Park Hoffer. We'll move through to heat number 2, and a familiar face here, Lynx Maverick, Steel City Cup runner-up, a multiple big race champion. Went from Trap 2, 26.65, fastest of the heat winners. Oscar the Gucci won unanimously on his kennel mate to the winner in Trap 3. 2-1-3, but all about Lynx Maverick. Explosive from the boxes as ever.
Yeah, he's back to his best. I mean, he was a worry. I don't think Oscar the Grouch necessarily wanted to be drawn bang on the rails, but he quickly allayed any fears of clashing with that rival. We got a lovely exit, and he's just back to his best form, Dave. I mean, he's achieved a lot in his career as a youngster. He's got nothing to prove, but he's still strutting his stuff and set the standard, 26.65. And I thought the runner-up ran okay to run on for second, but not sure it can give these early speedsters a start at Sunderland.
All about the early pace. Of course, the 450 metres, I've already mentioned, the long run to the turn. The start, absolutely crucial. And he was poor perfect there, setting the standard. Lynx Maverick. Right, let's move on then. Another Newcastle Raider, Cool of Annie Mercy. Showed them a clean set of heels here. 26.84, bitch for Angela Harrison in Trap 5. Aero Secundai, the Pall Mall champion, finishing second in Trap 2. Tremora Supreme in Trap 3. 5, 2 and 3. I thought Aero Secundai, although not explosive from the boxes and dazzling to the turn, I thought he battled on gamely, but the winner was away and gone and beyond recall.
Yeah, she's a grand servant of Connections. She's done Connections proud on her travels. Queen of Annie Mercy at the highest level. Real competition bitch. She warmed up for the event with a good win in a trial stake, and again she showed her well-being. Really put these to the sword. the Aero Secundai dog. He's just seen his form dip since that Pall Mall victory, Dave. He's not really been hitting the lids, but look, the fact that he remains in the event, he's worried for the others.
Yeah, and I'm not sure he looked too comfortable on the inside. He steered off a little bit on the runs of the turn. He ran off a bit at the bend as well. So I'd be interested to see in the semi-finals. He's got a slightly different draw, but we'll get onto that a little bit later on. Right, let's move through to Heat 4 and another talented bitch doing the business here. Slightly different way of doing it. Untold Ruben, who we've seen her exploding from the boxes and winning the Angel of the North. She won the Arc Puppy Cup over course and distance as well. Off the front, explosive early pace. But she dug deep here to score 27-16 in trap 2. Headford Sunny in 3. Droopy's perfect in 4. Now, we'll pick this up at the second turn. The Romeo dog out the back, unfortunately, picked up an injury in trap 1. But this was very impressive from Untold Ruben. She's game, isn't she?
Yeah, she certainly is. I mean, she really turned the corner. She won that Puppy Cup over course and distance, went on to win the Angel of the North Oaks at Newcastle. I think she's got stronger. When she was first on the scene, I wasn't sure she was the strongest of runners, but I think she certainly added another element to her game. I mean, the Headford Sunny dog ran well. That was his first run for a little while, so Connections would be pleased with that. But yeah, she's just showing the right attitude, and you need to run this track. That's 3/4 of the battle, Dave, and she certainly does.
Yeah, first and second bends prove absolutely crucial in these events. The Classic has usually gone to a good bend runner. You know, you've got to have pace, but you've got to have certainly an ability to run tight turns hard and fast. She can do that. Right, we'll move on to Heat 5, 27-19, the winning time here. Swift Underwater in trap 3. I was very impressed with Lionheart, the way he stayed on to qualify from trap 1. And Mad About Peck in trap 5. So 3, 1 and 5 here. What did you make of this race?
Yeah, I thought Lionheart ran a blinder, in fairness. I thought he was out. It looked like he was going to turn in a pitch and then lost, was all at sea, ran the first couple of bends. But he really knuckled down to the task. Obviously, the winning time tells you that it wasn't as good as the Lynx Maverick type of races. But all credit to Swift Underwater. Ran, I think, got to the semi-finals of the Puppy Classic at Nottingham. Coped well with a drop down to an easier 4 bends. Needed the start, but I thought Lionheart did run a blinder in defeat.
Right, we'll move on to Heat 6, 26-75, the Romford Raider. Brindle Bully for Dave Mullins in trap 6. Bramble Linton, who exploded from the boxes, flew to the turn. It was catch me if you can, but Brindle Bully did catch Bramble Linton. 6-3 and 2. Untold Euro in the blue was our other qualifier here. Good race, this one.
Yeah, I mean, this Brindle Bully dog, he's taken a few races to sort of click. I mean, he trialled in well at Romford, but some dogs sort of take a few races to click, but click he certainly has. He's reeled off a winning sequence at Romford, and now he's proven that he isn't that one-trick pony where he can win on his travels. And he had to dig deep here. I mean, Bramble Linton's got some good early pace. He's suited to this run to the turn, and he utilised his brute early pace to win the early battle. But all credit to Brindle Bully. I thought this was one of his better efforts. I know he's been taken off at Romford, but he's shown that he can do it away from Romford and come from just off the pace, Dave.
Yeah, which is always a bit of a worry. Now, I'm a Romford regular. I grew up going to Romford. It's my local track, but I do think it's a track in which you can take the form with a pinch of salt because it's like no other track. And dogs that are aeroplanes around Romford, that form doesn't necessarily translate to other tracks. And he was anti-post favourite, and I thought was one worth taking on. And he still heads the market just about, but we'll get on to that. Right, 36 became 18. There are 3 semi-finals on Friday night at Sunderland. The £20,000 Premier Greyhound Racing Classic. We'll tackle the first semi now. 7.59 is the opener. Ladbrokes and Corals, first out the boxes with semi-final prices. Oscar the Grouch on the inside at 4-1. Swift Underwater 6s. Fire and Ice 11-10. Headford Sunny 14. Tremora Supreme 20. Mad About Peck 5-2. The Romford Puppy Cup winner, head and shoulders above these, according to the market. What's your view here, Tony?
Yeah, I think he's had 2 looks around Sunderland now as Fire and Ice, and I think he'll do the business in this semi-final, Dave. I'm not sure Swift Underwater will come away in the same fashion as he did last week. Oscar the Grouch looks like a dog that's going to just be tapped for a yard of early in this type of company. So Fire and Ice, the way he won the Romford Puppy Cup, he drives the second bend, and that's where he takes lengths out of the opposition. I think if he can get a half decent exit, he leads the inside, and I think he puts the race to bed down the back straight.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say if you're maybe an anti-post backer of Fire and Ice or someone connected to the dog, you will be absolutely delighted with how this semi-final draws worked out, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, when we move on to the next one, I think you'd be cringing. You'd be the second semi-final was just unbelievable the way the draws worked out. But that's the luck you need in the sport, Dave. It ain't always about the quickest dog. It's about getting the luck in the draw and track allocation.
Right, well, let's move on to the second semi-final then. 2 votes for Fire and Ice in the opener. The 8:17 on Friday night at Sunderland. Trap 1 unanimously on at 10s. Lynx Maverick 13-8 in Trap 2. Stone Park Coffer 15-8. Raisbury Katie 16s. Lionheart 11-2. Coolamani Mercy middle, the only seeded dog in this lineup at 9-2. There is pace and class everywhere you look here. Market suggesting Lynx Maverick and Stone Park Coffer are going to have it between them. Is that how you see it?
Anything's possible here. I mean, I know unanimous Liam was beaten by Lynx Maverick last time out, but he's got to draw bang on the rails. He doesn't want to really be there, and he's got a fast start in him. I think Raisbury Katie's probably going to have to do things a hard way. I'd fear for her. I can't see where she leads or gets a run. Lionheart, I'm not so sure the draw's as bad as it appears because he did sort of move off his own accord for me in the heat. So maybe the wider draw than he's used to might not be such a bad place. Coolavani Mercy, she's going to exploit any inside crowding, but I'm just going to stick with Lynx Maverick. I thought whoever was drawn inside out of Lynx Maverick Stone Park Coffer, I would want to be with. So that was how I sort of looked at the race. But it's a great race. Grace the final.
Well, I agree and I disagree. I completely agree Lionheart. I think he'd be all right out there. I'd like to see him maybe a couple of times down the middle to see how he goes. I think he might break better. I think he'll certainly drive a better first bend from being out in Trap 5. And then I'm going to disagree because I'm going to go with Stone Park Coffer here. I think it's coming forward really, really, really pacey to the turn, which is, I think, what you need here. Now, can he match Lynx Maverick out the boxes? If he can, then I think we could be set for an absolute thriller here. And just at the prices, I'm going to go with 3, Stone Park Coffer. I'm not sure, we're going to see this dog stepping up to 480, 500 anytime soon. I think this is probably his limit, but he's very, very pacey and he might just make the bend. And I think it's that sort of race. You find the leader, I think you're probably going to find the winner. So I'm going to go with Stone Park Coffer there in semi-final number 2. We move on to the third semi, the 8:37 on Friday night. Untold Euro 7-1, Untold Ruble 9-2, Bramble Linton 9-2, Aero Secundi 11-2, Droopy's Perfect Middle 20-1, and Brindle Bully, who's the only wide seed left in, 10-11. Tony, give us your view.
Yeah, I mean, it's skinny 6. I mean, I'm with 6, but I wouldn't be a player at the odds. You got a Pall Mall winner in here. You got a Scurry finalist. You got the Puppy Cup and Angel of the North Oaks winner in the race. So I know he's on a winning sequence, but I think he's being too factored in. I mean, this is a good race. He's probably going to have to do things the hard way again, Brindle Bully. But the reason I was with him, I just thought he'd mind his own business out wide. I didn't think there was anything to hold him up. So as much as he's skinny, I think he gets the run out wide and he can knuckle down to the task again.
Well, the price is everything here, and I see the 11-2 Aero Secundi, and that will do for me. I mentioned that I thought he just steered off a little bit, moving middle out of 2. He's now out in 4. Now he's got Bramble Linton on his inside, who you quite rightly mentioned is a Scurry finalist. He was electric to the turn in his heat, albeit picked up by Brindle Bully. So Aero Secundi will have to deal with that. But he looks like a stronger dog to me as well now, Aero Secundi. And if he went round on the shoulder of Bramble Linton and maybe got first run on Brindle Bully, I think he'd win. So at 11-2, I'm going to go with the Pall Mall winner. I agree with Tony that he's probably not quite firing on all cylinders at the moment, which is why he's 11-2 and not 5-2. But at the prices, I'll take a chance on him. I don't think the draw's too bad. And I'd be keen to take on Brindle Bully. Purely at the prices, 10-11, he's very, very short. I think he'd be evens, maybe a shade of odds against come the off. Good race, but other prices I'll go with Aero Secundi. Right, as I mentioned, 36 has become 18. Brindle Bully was the anti-post favourite. Let's have a look at the market, how it shapes up now. Now, he is 7-2 favourite. Links Maverick at 9-2. Stone Park Hoffer 9-2. Fire and Ice 10s. Kulavani Mercy 12. And then we've got Aero Secundi, Bramble Linton, Untold Ruble at 14, 16 bar. Now, if you've not got involved yet, Tony, and you was maybe going to have a play here, is there any each way angle, any view from you?
It's tricky. I mean, obviously the second semi-final, something's going to have to give. So, I mean, maybe Fire and Ice 10-1, and then you sort of, not wishing connections bad luck, but if it cuts up, the other two races cut up into like a few shocks, you might be sitting pretty, but obviously there's so many combinations and variables. I mean, the Brindle Bully dog, he was only one of 4 wide seeds, so that was always going to be factored into his price, Dave. But I would probably, at the odds, I would take a chance with Fire and Ice, because you know he's got the talent. I know he was put in his place in the first round, but Sunderland, as you say, these tracks like Sunderland and Romford, any given Friday, you can turn the 5 lengths deficit around.
Yeah, at 10-1, you can almost maybe back him each way. I mean, he's not really the sort of dog that you want to be backing each way, because he's a kind of all or nothing type, but they all are in this event. You know, it's going to be much resting on the start and the first bend come the final, and we've put him up. He's a short price to win his semi, so the fact he's double figures to win the whole thing kind of maybe stands out a little bit. Stone Park Hoffer at 9-2 I like as well, because I think he'll beat Links Maverick. So, you know, there's not going to be anything like 9-2 in the final should he lower the colours of Links Maverick. You know, Aero Secundi, Bramble Linton, these sort of dogs at 14-1. You could maybe throw a few each way darts and see what happens. Even Untold Ruble, you're looking for something to stay on quite strongly. She did so in the first round. Maybe she's an each way play. So very open. It's 7-2 the field. That is our view. The Premier Greyhound Racing Classic resumes at Sunderland on Friday night. 18 remain, £20,000 up for grabs. Right, it is that time. Best bets of the week. Now I'm on a hat trick. Farney's Joe. Then we had Bocco's Thunder. So I've got the honour. I've taken the honour from you, Tony. We're up to episode 37, and you've very much carried the show for most of those, but not at the moment. So you need to pull your socks up, young man. I'm going to start now. Not going to be great for the shelf life of this clip, because we're recording this on the Wednesday. My best bet is running tomorrow, Thursday night. We're going to Hove, the 8:59 Swift Jarvis for Jason Heath, ground who found loads of trouble over the 695 last week. He ran okay in the, I think it was the Mitch Millward Memorial Marathon at Romford over the 750. Obviously bumped into Kunoff Crow, was far too good for him there. But I thought he caught the eye, showed loads of pace. He stayed on quite strongly. I think he might be able to reverse last week's form, stepping up in triple suit. We might get a price there, because this dog's been turned over at short prices a couple of times as well. So I'm going to go with the Swift Jarvis dog in the 8:59 at Hove on Thursday night. Now, Tony, you can go anywhere this week. Where are we off to?
We're off to Monmore, Dave, on Saturday evening. They've been having a regular batch of opens, like mini competitions with some supports, and Gemma Evans decided to take Millbank Boiler back to Monmore, and it worked wonders. I mean, he won over course and distance back in June. They took him to Nottingham for the Puppy Classic. He just found Nottingham stretching his stamina. But Monmore's a lovely speed 4 bends. It's a true 4 bends, but it's always been a speed track. And Millbank Boiler, very impressive in the heat, showed his early pace, didn't relent, 28-23. Now he's got Ballymac John on track 1, Romeo Kingpin, Arthur Cornflake. So it's no gimme, but I just think that he traps on terms. His natural early gears takes him to the front, and he stays there. So 9:04 Monmore, thelabbrooks.com, 480 metre final, Saturday evening. Trap to Lion, Millbank Boiler.
Lovely stuff. Well, there you go then. Saturday night, Thursday night, all on the Premier Greyhound Racing Service. Do remember to get in touch with us. It was lovely to read some comments, people back in Farney's Joe and Bocco's Thunder. Let us know on your views on the Classic, the ongoing Classic at Sunderland. And if you're watching this, we will be watching this once the draw's out for the gold collar. Let us know your views outright there. And maybe you fancy for the Eclipse, been some really good trial stakes and some lively names, some top class names on the trial sheet as well, including Wiki Ned going for another big title. So he'll be among the entries, and we will tackle that competition next week. Remember, all the action live on the Premier Greyhound Racing Service, their website, all the streaming, and of course, Behind the Red Button on Sky Sports Racing. Tony, as ever, it's been a pleasure. Do remember to enjoy your greyhound racing, gamble responsibly, and we'll see you next time.